I saw the ups and downs of small businesses.
Yeah.
So yes, you're in control and you own it, but when it goes bust, it's disastrous.
Yeah.
Without others, that's not my core skill goes. And he goes, well, we could show it to Richard. Is it worth showing it to Richard? One regret, biggest regret of my life, I went, can we just, once I've got the numbers, coming out of prison, the hurdles you have to face to get back into society, ultimately we might call them extraordinary, right? Because if they don't get back to prison, they are pretty extraordinary. Just to get out of that cycle.
Ian Priest, welcome to the Lifecraft Conversations. I didn't realise you were related to Hamleys.
Hamleys, that's right. So yeah, that goes back. So
are they still there?
They are, but they're not owned by my family.
Are they owned by the Chinese or something?
Well, no. It might be the Chinese now. It's gone through various acquirers. So my mum, maiden name Hamley, married David Priest. So, but her father, my grandfather, was the last. He had, I think, 7 brothers, and they were the last to own Hamleys, but they went bust in the Depression of the 20s. But it goes back to 1760 something. William Hamley was a toy maker from Cornwall, and he came into London and then set up a shop. And it wasn't in Regent Street to start with, but it was another part of London. And so it's gone through that many generations to the late 20s. And then it was bought out. In fact, Debenhams was one of the people who bought it at some point. But they kept it as Hamleys of Regent Street. And they called it the most famous or the biggest toy shop in the world. And it was a destination venue. You know, we used to go up there. But my grandfather, in the 30s, having lost Hamleys, he opened, his name was Cedric C. Hamley, in one in Kensington and one in Croydon. He lived in Croydon. So we used to live about 5 miles from Croydon. So in George Street. So as a 13, 14-year-old, when you're first getting your, I've come off paper rounds and you get a bit of summer holiday, Easter holiday work. I used to work in Hamleys of George Street, Croydon. And it had, I always remember, it had a Scalextrics track around and I thought, wow. And I worked in the model and railway department. I worked as a sports department. So it was like heaven, right?
That's heaven.
Yeah. So yes, you were working, but it was just fabulous. And I'll never forget the one Christmas. I think my brother was 3 years older than me, so he was probably about, I don't know, I was probably about 10 and he was about 13. We didn't know this, but my grandfather and father, they'd taken the Scalextrics track out of the Hamleys because it was about 5 years old, and they were putting a new, updated version in. And it literally went round the shop, right? So it was the most ridiculous track you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And it had stands, and it had trees, and it had spectators, as well as lots of cars. So they set the old one up, took it out of the shop, and they said, right, you got a present from Grandma and Grandpa and Mum and Dad. It's upstairs. So I remember going up the ladder, and I was still, in awe, on the lights. And it was just heaven. And we had this amazing, so I had this, my background has always been, and by the way, because they went bust, right?
Yeah.
He went bust. My father started his own company. My uncles, for some reason, all my brother, we've all done startups, entrepreneurial thing. We haven't gone for big corporate jobs for some reason. So whether you say, this is overly simplistic in our DNA.
Yeah, of course.
But having grown up as a kid, I saw the ups and downs of small businesses. Yeah. So yes, you're in control and you own it, but when it goes bust, it's disastrous.
Yeah, of course.
So the highs are high and the lows are very low. And so I grew up in that sort of environment. So I've always been interested, I suppose, in smaller business and starting and scaling.
Yeah.
So when you go through my career, I've been involved, obviously, mainly in the advertising business, but involved in joining like HHCL. 6 of us left IMP, another agency, to join up with this hot shop agency called Hamley.
Yeah.
To do something different. So it wasn't a startup, but it was like a startup. We took an ad agency to a wider communications agency. Of course, I ended up starting VCCP with Charles Rooney and Adrian.
Yeah.
And then when it got to, then I went into Chime and I did something called Chime Ventures.
Yeah.
So we were like a sort of venture capitalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we ran that. So it was like a dragon's den. So that's what I love doing. And then I went into, when I left VCCP, because it got bought by private equity, then I thought, right, hold on, I want to go back again to small. I most enjoy startups and scaling it up.
What was Grace Blue? What was that one?
So Grace Blue, that was an executive search firm, so a recruitment, high-end recruitment.
Okay, yeah.
For the advertising and marketing industry.
Yeah.
Run by 3 Juliet Timms, Gay Haynes and Jay Haynes. So 3 individuals,
right,
all ex-advertising, who they saw an opportunity in the market to go for leadership roles in advertising. Yeah. So they were sort of a family business, and I helped them scale up, and then they sold to an AI firm, actually. I'm now doing non-exec or chair a number of, like Dog, Cat and Mouse, I was just explaining to you. Yeah. And there's a few others I do, and I was helping them launch an Australian ice cream called Over the Moo. And then with the charity that I'm working with, that's about, we start businesses to help break the cycle of reoffending. So we take prison leavers, train them, and then employ them through our companies, and then for them to get a job in the wider industry. So we've got Exo Bikes, Exo Barbers. So the idea is we're starting businesses, each that are started by that, like the group companies onwards and upwards. But each of them washes their face. Any money it's made goes back into the pot to help launch another one.
That's so cool.
I'd say the sort of the vein running through everything, the seam running through that lot, is entrepreneurial scale up, startup scale up.
You've got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies at the moment, haven't you?
I have, but I enjoy. Don't forget, I'm not the front man on all of them.
Yeah.
I'm probably half of my time is this charity, so I'm front man with the founder, but the other ones are much more advisory.
Yeah.
So, being 62, I like the idea. I get a lot of enjoyment out of working with a variety of people, but not having to be the front man. Where at VCCP with me and Adrian, you're going out and you're delivering, which I enjoy. It's just as it got bigger and bigger, Adrian was better at that than me.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on that, though, isn't there?
There's a lot of pressure, and I just go, well, why you work, what you should try and do at work is do something you enjoy.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, money comes with it. Yeah. Although now I'm at that stage where I'm like, I don't need huge amounts of money, so I'm doing it purely. I just want to do things that are interesting with interesting people.
Yeah. Which is a really nice place to be.
It is, and when can you add value, but also where can you learn?
Yeah.
And it keeps you fresh. Yeah. So again, things what we were just talking about, AI, you're learning off other people and other phenomena.
The prison thing is really interesting.
It is.
Who got you into that?
So again, that is an ex-advertising guy. So at Hal Henry, which is before VCCP.
Yeah.
On my literally, I've done 7-year itches. For some reason, I've got jobs in 7-year gaps. But Hal Henry, a creative called Stef Jones, always got on with him really well. He and kept in touch with him. This is about 4 years ago. He told me, long story short, he was a mentor at Brixton Prison. So he was doing his advertising. He had his own advertising agency. Yeah. I was doing VCCP, and he was through his church, right? And he wasn't a big church guy. He came to it lately, but he through the church they had some connection. They were in Clapham with Brixton Prison. So he would go in there on a Sunday, and he'd be what they call a business mentor. So a bit like an executive coach is what is you help guys as they're starting to come towards the end of their sentence.
Okay.
It's like a careers advice at school.
Yeah.
you're offering that as giving you're a businessman, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
So you help them CV writing, interview training. I don't know if they want to start a business. This is how these are the elements of starting a business.
Yeah.
So he was doing that. And he was doing it for about 2 years and getting a lot of enjoyment out of it and finding how entrepreneur, he changed his mind on prisoners, right? He sort of saw a lot of entrepreneurial, a lot of clever guys just dealing with the wrong product. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
So then he kept seeing the guys coming back in and he'd sort of go, David, hold on. Wasn't I talking to you 3 months ago?
Yeah.
What are you doing back in here? And they go, you get shunned with a record. No employer will take you on. So you go. And that's the stats say 55% of every prison leaver in the UK is back inside within 12 months, right? Because they can't get a job. So what do? They revert back to their old crime. Yeah. So it's jobs, and the second one is accommodation, is housing. But that's what that's why he set up with me at the charity, and then we thought the way that rather than just become a charity, just getting donations, we thought a more interesting model was to do it quite entrepreneurially. So the structure is that the charity sets up businesses. That we train them in a skill that we go and find out, are they interested in becoming a mechanic, a barber?
That sort of thing.
There's a gym instructor's one of the next ones. We've got another one in the fashion world. People who want to go into the fashion world, the creative world.
Sure.
And the idea is we train them and then we set the business up that then they get work experience stroke a job. But we're not trying to be another Halfords or an Evans, for example, on the bike one. What we're trying to do is prove to this industry they make good mechanics or they make good barbers.
Right.
So we place them with Decathlon and a number of other.
Yeah.
Because Decathlon have changed their HR rules to go, hold on, we need mechanics. I wouldn't have thought of prison leavers, but these guys are doing it and they're proving they make good mechanics. So perhaps we will change our HR rules. So that's the model, is how we do it. So yeah, it is using your entrepreneurial creative expertise for a cause, for something that makes you feel like you're contributing something to life.
If you've been a criminal, I guess there's a bit of entrepreneurialism in that, isn't there?
Massively.
You've been kind of lateral thinking to get money.
Well, you think of a drug dealer.
Yeah, very lateral.
I've never dealt with a drug dealer.
Very lateral.
But you think, they've customer service.
Yeah.
Distribution.
Yeah. Cash flow.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm being
No, it's
a bit naughty, but you sort of go, a lot of them, and they've developed a network.
100%. Absolutely 100%.
And they're just dealing with the wrong product.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And also, if they've been inside, they can probably learn a lot of these skills, can't they? If they're in the tool place, so I call it the garage, the place where they all...
The workshops.
The workshops.
That's what they do in prison. There's still not enough of it. Timpsons, as you know, key cutting, shoe repair.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 or even maybe 15% of their employees are prison leavers.
Really?
Yeah, and they've never deliberately, overtly communicated that. It's been something that sort of you find out about. Right?
I think he was on the radio a few weeks back, wasn't he? He was talking about something like this, I think.
He's been on he was funny enough, he was at one of those 30 clubs.
Was it? Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But so what Starmer, one of the good things Starmer's done, is take someone from, a successful businessman with a real view on how to get the best out of and then put you in charge of the prison service. Now the prison service is all over the shop at the moment, as we know.
Yeah.
But that's the idea. He really likes our model of workshops. What we do is workshops on the inside. Let's say we have a bike mechanic workshop in 2 prisons, and then they get trained to a certain level. And as when they come out, they come in to Lewisham, where we have our full training course. So they do like bronze level here, silver, gold, and platinum here. Then they get a job in Exo bikes.
Yeah.
And then. But then the ones who are ready for it, and they need a lot of support, mental support, whatever, as well as the craft skill, is then we then feed them. We're like a recruitment agency into the industry. So Decathlon have been taking quite a few. And that's what we're So we're trying, the mission is break the cycle of reoffending by employment.
What do you notice is the biggest challenge they've got? Where's the, they've had a different life to most people.
Yeah.
So what is the difference? What are they? Because you said they're not like
hope and self-esteem. So a lot of them come from broken families.
Yeah.
We're doing one to answer your question. There's one thing we're trialing at the moment. We're calling it Gang for Good.
Gang for
Right?
Good. Yeah.
So the idea is we're working with prison leavers coming out of prison, but there's a whole pipeline of 13, 14-year-olds in gangs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nicking trainers on a Saturday or getting
Yeah.
involved in knife crime with drugs or whatever. And you're just going to keep filling the prisons up and they'll get worse and worse and worse. So, yes, we're trying to stop people going back to prison by giving them employment. But what about actually stopping the pipeline?
Yes.
And the thought is, we call all of our, we've trained 180 odd guys so far. 3 have gone back to prison. So we're proving the model is not 55%. So there should be, I think, 90, whatever 55%, 180 is, just 95 or whatever it is, and only 3.
That's incredible.
And so from an economics point of view, as taxpayers, I think it's 18 billion a year is spent.
Yeah.
So we could reduce that
That's staggering, isn't it?
So it's staggering. So that's what we're trying to do, is scale that up a bit. So we call our guys, the 180 who've been through our courses, we call them XOs, because it's exo bikes, exo barbers, exo standing for ex-offender.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, one of our thoughts, by the way, is because they're coming out of prison, the hurdles you have to face to get back into society, ultimately we might call them extraordinary, right? Because if they don't get back to prison, they are pretty extraordinary. Because to get out of that cycle. Anyway, our XOs, all of them, or most of them, will be living somewhere.
Yeah.
Say if they're living on an estate, their next door neighbour, mum, 4 kids, will go, say he's called Fred. We'll go to Fred and go, my little Billy, he's getting into trouble. I know he is. I see that. Yeah, he's been warned shoplifting. Can you have a word with him and just tell him what happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool going to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. This Billy will have a bit of respect
for him,
for this guy.
Yeah.
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 Now, partly, if they treat it wrong, they'll in awe of him what he's done from a bad point of view. But if they really listen to him to say, don't do what I did, he will probably listen to him. Yeah. Or he's got a nephew, similar. He'll have some connection with some kids.
Yeah.
And what we found is we call the guys. We probably got about 100 or so people like you and me. We call them foxos, friends of exos, right? Who help support us. They've given us money or time or whatever, and they sort of go, especially at our stage in life, you go, can I give something back a bit, right? Can I help there's mentoring and coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And what we found is it's amazing how you form a relationship between the exo and the foxo. Right, to start with, they're very wary. Or Wight, I look like the judge who's probably put him down, or the headmaster that's thrown him out of school. But they form a relationship, right? Yeah. And then, so the idea is we create a triangle, because he respects him and vice versa, right? And because Billy respects him, if he introduces to Ian, and we form a relationship, we call it a triangle of trust. Right?
That's so clever.
And the idea is we have someone who's lived a life that sees the opportunities in life, and someone who sees the bad, wrong side of life, right?
Yeah.
To help guide this chap, right? And you give time. You've got to give time to. So you're like 2 godfathers, right? And we're trialing this in early next year with 10 triangles, with the view to. And we're going to see the impacts and what effect it has, right, on this kid. So, for example, if I find out that Billy, I don't know, likes football, I'd make an easy one, right? And I happen to be lucky enough to have Chelsea season tickets. My daughter played for Chelsea Academy, so she knows Cobham very well on the training ground. I might have a link, because I know several people there. I might have a link to they need a boot boy. Yeah, on a Saturday or Friday, whatever. And I get Billy in to kind of and he becomes a boot boy there, and then then he starts, his mates on a Saturday, they're out nicking trainers or whatever. And they'll go, Billy, where were you last Saturday?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I was at Cobham with this thing called Gang for Good.
Yeah.
Who's that? Like, well, what are you doing? So the idea is through word of mouth. Yeah. So that's what we're trying with some people who really understand governance of these sorts of things, because it's quite DBS checking. There's a lot of things you've got to get right.
There is. Does the government help you at all? No.
The reason being, we know James Timpson, very well, but we've decided to be, going back to my instincts of entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
You want to get things done like that and free, yeah?
You don't want to be hamstrung, do you?
So just when you get back, when the government get involved, the red tape is just, I mean, you can see James is struggling a bit with the red tape. I can see it, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think we will go at some point, but when we've developed it so they can help back it rather than take it over.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So it's sort of, we want to keep that fleet of foot, that agility, that ability to, now don't forget we KPI everything, we see the impacts, because don't forget we get money from various funders.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure we prove it. So going back to my advertising background, you want to do an ad and you want to see its effectiveness. You know, is it increasing sales?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing we want to do with every pound put into Onwards and Upwards and XO.
You know, it's innovative, it's dramatic. The way you explained it then has got theatre to it. The abbreviations, and that's hangs together really nicely.
No, and again, when you're in the world of branding, you forget what you bring. It's like Charles. He's amazing as a planner. He takes you're a classic of this, taking the really difficult and then going, well, the answer's here's the line.
Yeah.
So what you mean is this, is it?
Yeah.
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 That's what creativity is and that's what we're good at, is packaging that up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and making it a story. Exactly.
Well, you know, I guess the juxtaposition is from the bureaucracy and the slowing down of everything to finding the niche and finding the angle and just going with it and having the confidence to go with it.
It is.
But it's taking confidence to do that.
It is, and I'd say a lot of that confidence, what we've got with Stef is really, he's on a mission. I mean, he would say this if he was here. He'd say, when he was doing the Brixton prison mentoring, it was like he had a couple of dreams. It was like he had a calling from upstairs.
Yeah.
Who said, just do something about it then. Go on, do something about it. So he's got this really clear, and he's got this passion and vision he's inspirational.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I suppose I'm the one who, classic like an accountant handler, you make it all happen around him. Yeah. So it works really well as a combination when you get those complementary elements. Because as you say, we're very good at getting things done. Yeah.
So this is why you were when I called you, you were working at Bike Shop.
That's what.
Yeah.
Because we were a bit short on staff, so I went in as the CEO and you just deliver it.
You were getting your hands dirty.
Which is again, you love it. I was going back to me Hamley's. That's exactly what I did at Hamley's.
What did you do before you went into advertising?
Well, that's my first job. So I business studies degree.
Yeah.
It was a 4-year course then, and it was quite a clever course. In the second year. And again, in the third year, you had to get a placement, a 6-month placement, in business, right? So you basically go through the theory of business, and they go on, then go into a work experience, And it was in the early 80s, and my first work experience was in Prudential Assurance Company in High Holborn. It was the most boring job. So I was a pensions clerk.
Jeez,
right?
That's like hardcore boring.
Hardcore boring, and so it made you realise big corporates are really not my space, And then the third year, I was specialised in the marketing bit, and I got never heard of, a sales promotion agency, right? Called Tim Arnold and Associates. I got a 6-month there, and I worked on the launch of Castlemaine XXXX, if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yes,
so Saatchi came up with the line, Australians wouldn't give a XXXX.
Yeah.
And we did all the promotional, on-pack, install, all that. And I thought, wow, this is It was sexy in terms of the types of things you're working with a bunch of 25 to 35-year-olds. Lots of pretty girls. Lots of fun. And it seemed to be okay paid, right? So I finished. Then I went on a year abroad, and the guy I worked with on Forex was an Aussie. He was my account manager, and he went back to Australia. So when I was on my year away, I was in Australia for 6 to 9 months, and I needed to work to pay my way. I contacted him. He says, "Right, come into my agency." So I got another 6 months experience in Australia. So when I came back to England to get my first full-time job, they saw I'd done a business studies degree and I got a year experience. And so I got a job in called IMP, which was a sort of below the line part of DMB&B.
Okay.
So I've always been in that from my degree straight into 7 years at IMP, 7 years at Howell Henry when we left. 6 of us left IMP to join up with Howell Henry, which is a sexy agency of the, is the campaign agency of the decade. I became MD. And then started VCCP by talking to Rooney and Charles and Adrian. And that's why I got interested in the IPA when VCCP started. We started because O2, as you all know, was launched on 2nd of February 2002. O2. So, and we all decided, as the 4 of us, VCC and P, is do something in the industry and split up. So I did the IPA bit. Adrian did more sort of the marketing, certain things. Charles did a number of things in the planning, and Rooney on the creative to sort of widen our network. So, and I really enjoyed. I got put on the it's called VAG, the Value of Advertising Group, and it had all the brightest planners in London, agencies, and they were the group behind the IPA Effectiveness Awards. Right. And I was there. I had to chair that group, so I was the only account guy, and there must have been 20 of these super bright planners. And so I remember thinking, I was in awe and slightly scared by I had to do these meetings
because you and I went round and talked to a lot of people.
We talked to exactly.
I can't remember any of them who they were, but we certainly went. We trawling through the streets of London talking to.
We talked to a load of those, right? And I said, right, guys, you are all way brighter than me and fantastic, and I love you. But often you all talk too much, right? What I'm quite good at is getting things done. So what we're going to do... We're going to get 3 things done. Tell me now what 3 things are we going to focus on, right? They're going to make a biggest effect. Because that's my job, is to make all you bright boys do things. And they all laughed. And it worked quite well. Then off the back of that, I got voted in to be the IPA president. And that's when you learn a bit more about the industry, but you represent the industry. And that's when you saw the best of ad agencies having the influence with their clients further up the chain. And you're right, the halcyon days were around 80s, 90s, the beginning of the 2000s. I just say in the last 10 years it's become...
Well, that's because they had the relationship at the top table, didn't they? That there was a intimacy between, people like Robin Wight and whatever, and they were just like... I always remember Orange, when we did... Were you on Orange? Did you do Orange?
No, that was Charles and Roon. And that's one of the main reasons we won O2, because of that experience. Because
I was on that, and I always remember Robin Wight, when we used to go to Orange, he had his own chair. He used to bring his own chair out, which I thought was like a little bit excessive. But it was at that level, that level of kind of like theatricality.
No, absolutely. I mean, he was a brand, and he was saying he was a walking brand, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really, that man?
Well, and bow ties and all that kind of stuff, It's just, but times are just different. I think that's what it is.
They are. So we mustn't hark on the good old days. But that's one of the reasons we just had more influence, I think.
Yeah.
Now it's still. London is still a massive base for creativity, as well as New York, whatever. But it's how do we keep our strength as the UK, right, as London, as whatever, so embracing AI and technology. But, clever insights and creativity. So it's getting the best out of the humans mixed with the machines.
I think that creativity has been democratised quite a lot. You can make a film now. you can make almost a full-length movie film from your bedroom. And what's not to like about that, really? I'm not sure it's defendable. Agencies would like to think it's defendable, but you've got a lot of people out there who are working hard at trying.
Yeah, but that thing about one of the things I loved about the ad industry world, right, was it was a meritocracy. It wasn't how old you were.
Yeah, that's
it was how good you were. True. I mean, the team who came up with the meerkat for Compare the Market.
Yeah.
I think they were 20 when they.
Yeah.
So but if you think of a lot of other industries, I don't know, law. The older you are, the more wisdom comes with it. Yes. Yeah. So, and that's what I loved about advertising. It was that sort of meritocracy.
Yes.
So that's why, and again, I think Rooney would probably say this. Rooney, he felt as he was getting older, right, bringing in a Darren was probably a good thing. Because he's conscious of, a lot of creatives do, they understand music or fashion. They get that they got that feel and connection. With the audience. They've got a lot of wisdom and experience, but that sort of subjective element.
That's why you have kids to tell you what's Have you heard of 67?
No.
So somebody was telling me about this. I'd never heard of it before. Actually, it don't mean anything. The purpose of it is a demonstration of something that don't mean anything. So that you say 67 for no reason. And then the old people say, well, what's that mean? What's that? That's silly. And then, it doesn't have any meaning.
Really?
Yeah.
Have your kids told you this? Who's that?
The hairdresser told me this. She got it from her kids. But she said, do you know what 67 is? I said, I have no idea. I've not heard of that one before. That's the trouble. You don't know. You don't know what is a spoof.
No, true.
You don't know what's... I mean, I think that's a real phenomenon at the moment now, that we're getting to the stage where you can't really tell whether anything's fake or not, can you?
No, I know, which is, I mean, well, one of the things, going back to that thing for Honest Mobile, doing a film, right, one of the things we're discussing with them at the moment, because they're called Honest Mobile, should we go out, because it should be aired in January, this 30-second film, actually making a positive out of, actually put on there, this film has been made by AI. These characters are not real people. Or just actually, but make a bit of an attribute of it, rather than sort of we've done it on the cheap. No, we've done it, and we're honest about it. And one of the reasons, and they're very big on sustainability. This has saved X, Y, Z. You can bring rather than hide and be found out, actually make a positive.
I think that's really good.
So those sorts of things.
I'm not sure I'd look at the ticket with two separate concepts. So sustainability is one thing.
Yeah, I know.
Honesty is good enough in itself.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? You don't need to wrap another thing. You don't keep it single-minded.
Yeah, keep it single-minded. But I think that's really nice.
But I had another idea, funny enough, a bit like the Over the Moon, had this idea with a friend of mine, which we call Good For You. And the idea was to, it was about noodles and rice and pasta and doing a healthy McDonald's.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And the idea was everything in it was going to be not crap.
Yeah.
It was going to be good, but based on rice. And it was a bit Wagamama-y, before Wagamama.
Yeah.
But it was all going to be priced snacks. And the idea, we went to, I'll never forget, I approached Branson. And I thought, if you're going to do it, take on McDonald's, do exactly what he did with BA and Virgin.
Yes.
There's one brand that could take on McDonald's is Virgin. So the idea of Virgin food or Virgin Good For You, right? And you position it right as close as possible. Your location strategy as close as possible to it. Anyway, so I presented it to, I can't remember his name now, but he was number 2. I presented the concept, and he went, "Oh, this is good. I
really
like it.
Yeah,
I like it." And have you thought through the financials? And I hadn't. And someone walked past him and went into the office over there, and he goes, "Well, we could show it to Richard. Is it worth showing it to Richard?" One regret, biggest regret of my life. I went, can we just, once I've got the numbers worked through and thought that through, I felt a bit sort of, it was a bit too loose.
Yeah.
And of course, it faded away.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, what do you do next, Ian? But you're already mapped out, aren't you? You're already.
I suppose I'm just enjoying variety. Yeah. So I'm 3 years into this. You know, if the 7-year thing carries on, I'm going to at least do another 4 years of the year.
Yeah.
And I suppose I was talking to someone about this last night. I'm seeing sort of 3 sets of my friends at the moment in their sort of early 60s. Either the ones who've just gone retire and go off the edge of a cliff in terms of don't do anything and play a lot of golf or whatever they do. Yeah,
but that can be an issue. That's a psychological issue.
That's what I'm going to say. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, and that causes it's really difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And, you know, they get bored, right? And insecure, and then you lose your status and you... So there's that set. There is there are some going for it again, but and often there's a few just going for it because I want to earn X more. Sort of, that'd be horrible to say greed, but you know what I mean? They sort of, no, I'm big and powerful. I want to get even bigger and powerful, more powerful. Sort of the Trump-like. Yeah. And then I think I'm getting some people like me sort of going, right, I've done all right. Now where can I channel? Yeah, what I'm doing in a different sort of way.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a good puller together of people within a meritocratic world where, and I just think I learnt a lot from finding the right people who I can complement and bring together, and then set the environment and agenda for doing really powerful things, right? So that's what my learning is. You don't have to be, you get the Charles, the brilliant strategist, the sort of Oxbridge type brain. You get the Rooney or the Derek, you get the creative. They come from completely often different backgrounds, different side of the tracks, but completely different. They just look at life differently, and you get the media, but just gelling together. Yeah, and that's what I sort of saw that I could be quite good at doing, and so that's what my learning was: find what you're good at, and then the idea of change, right? It is so go in and learn and do it. This 7-year thing, I think. I'm quite comfortable in sort of going outside of my comfort zone, and I suppose when I'm not doing that, I sort of have a bit of a go at myself to sort of go, come on, do things and explore. Yeah. And that's what I'd encourage people to do, is to go find out what you're good at and how you can and how you can work and how you interact with others, but also don't just get set in your ways, and find ways of exploring. I mean, I love the word adventure, and I did it. I'll give you one very good example. One of the best things I did, nothing to do with my career, was I was very lucky that Charles, Rooney and Adrian allowed me to do this. When I took that year off with my family, and we actually took a year and travelled throughout of America. We did North, Central and South America. And it was like a midlife gap year, so to speak. Yes. And everyone, sort of, loads of blokes in my life, friends, were saying, what the hell are you doing? You're mad. Yeah. And although a lot of women said it's a really good idea, but I think that was a fabulous thing because that had the word adventure to it. And I like sort of stepping out. Yeah. Yeah. And with VCCP, we did have a brilliant trust. And we did set out, one of the things I learned from Hal Henry was having we had a plan, and we did call it a 7-year plan actually, was to, and then, because I think it was important we had some sort of focus. Yeah. A lot of it's passing on, I'm sure you do the same, but a lot of the time I help my friends' kids, if they ask me they're advertising, I'll tell them what type of career, what the steps, how to approach it. So you're sort of mentoring a number of people and helping. That's what your role in life is a bit. You've got to sort of have some credibility in what you've done. Yeah. Otherwise people sort of go, well, why should I really listen to you? I know so I just think it's really, you've got a really rich background of things you've done, and you're very good at asking questions, which is what coaching is mainly about, isn't it? a lot comes out in a conversation, doesn't it? And it goes through various stages, isn't it? You sort of get to know each other, and then you feel, and then off it goes, and then it's a therapy. I didn't do a lot of it because I was the chairman of Grace Blue, but headhunters, right? Is they're talking to very senior people, and when you're talking about yourself, because most of the time people don't talk about themselves until they're talking about their business or whatever.
Yeah.
It gets very emotional, and people open up massively.
They do.
And then because a good headhunter is not a bad headhunter, they've got a brief, they've got a job, and they try and get David.
They've got a role to fill,
they've got a role to fill, rather than finding out what does David want.
Yes.
The clever ones flip it round the other way and do exactly that. They go, "Come on then, what's up to you? What are you looking at doing next?" And then, if the conversation goes in the right way, well, funny enough, there's one thing that I think you could be interested in. That comes out of a proper conversation.
It does, but we also live in a world where nobody wants to listen. I mean, listening is a dying art, and if you provide an environment where people can be listened to, people really like it. You know, and they get a lot out of it. And I've had several people who it really helps them, realign their thoughts. Anyway,
definitely. Because it must be when you interviewed Tim Bell and people like that, must have been fascinating seeing. Well, he would have loved telling his story and his ego. Such an interesting man.
Yes, I mean, I would love to do that again. I'd love to be in. I wish I hadn't gone so early.
His office was on the top floor of Curzon Street.
I went there many times. Yeah.
So, and you remember you came out in the lift and went straight into his office? Yeah. And he was allowed to smoke because it was designated a flat.
And
it was always like
always like acrid smoke.
I was Hal Henry MD, and for some reason I got on quite well with Tim Bell. It's just one of those connections that you made over the years.
I did. I loved him.
Exactly. So we had a quarterly financial update of Hal Henry basically reporting into the chairman of Chime, your figures for the quarter. And I remember it wasn't a good quarter, right? So that Robin was very nervous. So, and we got there separately, and I got there 5 minutes early, whatever, came out in the lift, and there's Tim on the phone, smoking away, and you're a bit conscious walking in, because you haven't knocked on his door, you've come straight out into his, and so he just goes, sit down. And he's on the phone to someone, and I don't know who it is, but you find out he's obviously talking about quite a personal thing. He's going through an operation, and I'll work out, this guy's got cancer, colon cancer.
Yes,
because he had the same.
Yeah.
And they got into quite heavy arse talk, and what happens to your arse? And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'll just sit there and listen. But it was quite personal and whatever. And he goes, when I had it, my arse bled. And it was like mine. Anyway, he eventually finishes the call 5 minutes in. Robin's still not there, so we had sort of small talk because we think. So, and Tim goes, I'm really sorry you had to listen to that, Ian. That was, pretty personal. It was, got a little bit personal, but, it's one of those things, isn't it? Talking about your arse, you said.
He never cared.
He didn't care at all. So we must have been 15 minutes into our slot, right? I think we only had 20 minutes. We finish, and Robin goes, oh, yes. Anyway, Ian, I think we better get on to that. And Tim goes, right, you've got 2 minutes. Come on then, I know your numbers are shit. But he goes, I'm not going to go through, just sort it out, you two, will you? And off you go. Robin. Hal Henry didn't have many big spending clients. They were people like Tango spent about 10 million, people like Pop. So there was no sort of big like Ford who spent 80 million.
No.
Anyway, DFS, the sofa people, spent something like 50 million quid on a load of shitty ads, right? Sales and all that, the sort of stuff they do. Anyway, and it was owned by Lord, and I've forgotten his name, but another Lord.
Yeah.
So Tim Bell told me he had his mate, Lord Blah. They were both going off to the House of Lords, but he was coming in for a meeting. Priesty, come in, tell him all about Hal Henry, and see if I can get the advertising account for you. They were like, it was just, they were like, you know, the two on the Muppets, the two old blokes on the Muppets?
Of course, yeah.
They were they were,
What
whatever they were called, Ernie, whatever. The two of them, and this was pre-lunch, but they'd obviously had a gin and tonic or something before it. They were both like two schoolboys mucking around. And we had, it was just great fun, great fun. It was so uncorporate, and they were just delightful company. We didn't win, we didn't get the business, because I remember him saying, he was a northerner, and he said something like, he goes, yes, he goes, Tim, but I can see, he's not a bad bloke like Ian, but he's still a bit of a southern softy. He won't get GFS, will he? But he used to have to ring up, because Chime had 26%, sorry, WPB had 26% of Chime, that Tim had to, like Robin Aziz and I, every quarter, had to ring up Sir Martin.
Sir Martin, I used to enjoy calling him Sir Martin. He used to say, Sir Martin.
That's right, but he used to ring up, and it was Sir Martin's secretary was some old dragon. And of course this happens every quarter, so this happened over years, and she'd always answer, Sir Martin's office, you know, in a really sort of poncy way, and he'd say, hello, Doreen, whatever her name was, no, she must have known who it was, and she'd go, hold the line please, who's speaking? And he'd go, Lord!
It's lovely to talk to people. It really is.
Yeah, I can tell. You're a very, very good listener and prompter of.
That's very kind of you.
Well, no, that's what we loved about your going back to what I was saying about Charles, is taking the complicated and making, because you're a really good listener and observer, and then you go, and so it's obvious it's in this space here which you do.
Yeah, well, it's about ego. You see, I think you just got to take. You're not there. You know, we've all got an ego. But you're not here to just dump your ego on the table. You're here to find other people's things that will help you.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's me as a bringer together of a team. So without others, that's not my core skill goes. So it's bringing those complementary, whether it be in sport, but more in business. That is absolutely, and that's what I've gone in my latest stage of my 7-year itch is. You've gone out and found people you're complementary with. You can add value to, and they can add value to you. I like the idea of just going out and seeing what happens, rather than having too planned approach in your life.